Somehow, my daughters fell in love with Formula One. I don't know how or why, but I'm not arguing. They may not know wheel, but does anyone?
Hi, and welcome to We Don't Know We All Have One. I'm Anne.
And I'm Sarah, and I have Grace in a box in the back room. Just kidding.
We are
And I
still,
also love Formula One.
yeah, we're still two sisters that love Formula One
Yeah,
that are going to podcast, so all our friends and family listen to us.
that's right.
So, yeah, it's been an interesting week in the world of Formula One.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here and to lend my expertise to the show, which is that I don't open any links and I don't read any articles. So I have no idea what is going on in the Formula One world in a large sense. So I'm excited to have Anne tell me what's up. Um, yeah.
Should we start with like a little bit about the race before we get into the actual interesting stuff?
Yeah. Have you guys not done an episode about the race?
No,
Oh,
we have
okay.
not.
We can talk about that. I did watch the race.
With me.
Yeah, we watched it together, which was really fun.
It's very fun.
First
That
race of the
was
season.
probably the most fun part about watching the race. Is that we were
That
together
and
and we were with our mom.
watching Carlos Sainz come to
Yes,
life.
Carlos. You
Yeah,
gotta
he had
love
a
it.
great race.
He was awesome. He was killing it. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I feel like that got slightly ruined for me afterwards because there's so many Leclerc fans that I saw who were just like saying some kind of pretty mean stuff about Carlos of like he wasn't actually that good. It was only because Charles had a like broken car and Carlos wasn't as his car wasn't as broken, so he's lying about it being broken. It's
Yeah.
messy.
I think that Carlos has some haters. And I think
Mm-hmm.
specifically, I've said this before, I'll say it again, and I will continue to say it. He has male haters because men are intimidated by his looks. And they can't admit that he's a good driver because all they see is this beautiful Spanish man and they don't know what to do with themselves. And yeah, so, he has a little disadvantage because of that.
But it made me really think it's just that next year when Lewis goes to Ferrari and you have Lewis fans and Charles fans,
It's going to be really intense.
it's gonna be so intense. Like I'm gonna have to delete Twitter because it's gonna be way too intense.
Yeah, Ferrari like kind of makes a big fuss about not having like a one,
Number one
two,
driver. Yeah.
right. And I feel like now with that, like tensions are kind of high. Like
Hmm.
it's almost easier when there's a clear lead driver because then it's like, they have more fans. And then the number two driver, it's like they have their fans, but
Hmm.
it's not as intense. So like now with Charles and Carlos, it seems quite intense, but I think you're right. It's just gonna like escalate more next year because Lewis fans are like notoriously very, very I think
Intense.
it's only second to if Lewis and Max were ever teammates, you know?
Yeah. I don't feel like Max fans are as intense compared to Lewis and Charles, but that's just my perception.
Oh, Anne.
I
Oh,
but
beautiful
when it
Anne.
comes to Charles and Carlos, I feel like Charles fans almost come off as insecure because it's like they feel
Say
like
it. Just say it.
they have to defend their drivers so much, and he does not need to be defended. He had a not very great race, mostly because his car was having issues, but that
Yeah,
doesn't mean you can't acknowledge that Carlos had a great race. And I don't
right.
know,
Yeah.
it's messy.
It's a little messy. It's a
Also,
little catty. It's fun, you
somehow
know.
one of the least messy things happening in the world of Formula One this week.
Let's get into it.
But before we get into that, the only two other impressions of the race I would say is it was good to see Checo doing well,
Hmm.
though it's still disheartening that he's 20 seconds behind Max.
Yeah.
And also, it almost felt like last season never ended.
Yeah. I think I would have to agree with you there.
And the only exception to that is that Alpine were horrible.
I felt so bad for them.
I know. I feel very bad for them.
The poor French boys. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Really,
tough to watch, but I don't know. Like, I feel like every team pretty much has to take a turn at the bottom.
at some point.
And yeah, it's good that it's not always the same team.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And
So,
I always think that Alpine has more tools to bring themselves up to a decent position compared to like Williams 3 years ago.
yeah, I'm excited to see what Williams does this season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful. I really like, what's his name? James.
Yes, James Fells.
He seems very cool. I'm a huge Alex Album fan, as everybody knows. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do. I'm pretty indifferent about Logan Sargent, but
Yeah.
maybe he'll show up. I don't know.
Yeah. I have the feeling I might be in need of a new team to root for soon. And I think Williams is my first choice.
A new team? Like, what was your team that you were rooting for?
Red Bull.
Oh, you don't want to root for Red Bull anymore because it's boring.
Mm. Amongst other things.
Yeah. Okay.
Should
Yeah.
we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know like how much we should get into because it like there are so
Give
many
us the
layers and it
goss.
goes so far back.
Well, what happened this week?
Well, I feel like the real news this week was the Jos Verstappen reaction,
Yeah, tell me about that
which
because
was very unexpected.
I didn't even hear about that
Yeah.
until
So
today.
Christian Horner had was accused of like inappropriate workplace behavior, went through a
Yeah.
big internal Red Bull parent company investigation. Was almost exactly a week ago, they put out a statement saying that he had been, I think I'm trying to remember the exact wording they used, but it was essentially like he had been cleared by the investigation. And then a few days after that, actually no, it was that day. I forgot. It all happened on one day. There was apparently a Google Drive of what is supposedly screenshots of conversations between Horner and this employee that had been sent to a bunch of journalists. And what felt kind of weird to me about that situation is that the real journalists couldn't say anything about the situation because they didn't have enough information to have any sort of like verification of what they were actually looking at. And they also there are laws in the UK about like not publishing information from an investigation if it releases the identity of the people involved in the complaint. So all of this stuff is just coming from like rumors and people not who you would typically trust not being able to actually say anything. And then after the race, it came out that Jos Verstappen said he had a few spicy quotes, which one was that he thinks Red Bull is all gonna like basically implode on itself because of this. And he also said some things that made it seem like, number one, Mercedes is very interested in signing Max as a driver, and two, Max is very open to the possibility of going to Mercedes if theoretically Red Bull were to implode. And it really feels like Yost is trying to use this as a way to leverage Christian Horner into resigning, because Red Bull as a company is going to want to do whatever they can not to lose Max as a driver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it's also like it's coming from Jos Verstappen, who has, like, even just in the stories that Max publicly tells about his childhood growing up, did some questionable things as a parent.
We've all heard the fork
And
incident.
yes. And I think he's
So
also,
didn't Max respond today during the
yes,
press conferences?
yes. Some of the things he was saying is that he,
Today being March 6th.
yes.
Let me hold up a newspaper.
The one podcast episode where we need an actual date of when this information is from, because in 48 hours it's all going to be different.
Yeah.
He was saying that, like, he's very happy with the team, but he's also open to the possibility of other teams if things were to go south at Red Bull. Is one thing. And he was walking this line between saying that, like, my dad's not a liar.
Yeah.
I think he believes these things, but also he
He
was
might be
saying that
wrong.
he himself, Max, did not necessarily believe that Red Bull was going to implode.
Yeah. What do you think, Anne? Do you think if Christian Horner was forced out or resigned or what have you, what do you think the scene, like, how do you think it would play out at Red Bull?
I think at this point, it would almost be better for Red Bull, for Christian Horner, to get forced out and have this be done, because the story just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for them, because it looks like they're continuing to try and cover things up.
Mm-hmm.
And it now
But people
also
are talking
looks,
about it, so what do they care?
it looks like the FIA, with the, like, head of the FIA, Mohammed bin Salman, is helping in trying to cover this up, where supposedly he was asking Max to back up Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And Mohammed bin Salman is now himself under investigation for, like, pressuring the stewards to change a penalty for Alonso last year. And oh, there was something else. I don't remember what the other thing was. But it all is, it's messy. And I also feel like, in addition to not being good for Red Bull, it's not good for the sport. Because we had, it's this weird combination of, it was a boring race, which doesn't look good for Formula One. And then there's all of this, like, messy, bad, not easy to understand drama happening off track. And those two things make even, like, it makes you feel kind of icky about following the sport and being a fan of the sport.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who is a casual fan is just gonna be like, oh, these people are awful, I'm not gonna watch this anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
It does make it feel like it brings it down to, like, a level of maybe other sports where you're like, oh yeah, another player accused of this or that, or whatever, this, like, kind of drama. And I feel like Formula One fans like to think of their sport as, like, above other sports. And it's like, it's for rich people, it's for classy people. And all of this is a little bit, like, not trashy. I don't want to say that, because that maybe implies something about the person that's making these accusations, which I don't think that's true. Like, but how things are being handled by
Yes.
the governing body and by Red Bull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also feel slightly conflicted in terms of when this was originally happening. I okay, on the day that the original Red Bull statement was put out saying that Christian Horner is going to keep his job and that like the case had been dismissed essentially. On that day, I was like, well, we don't know for sure whether or not that is true. But sorry, we don't know for sure whether or not there was any justification to the case in the first place.
Right. We
But
don't know the details.
right, but it was an independent investigation by a barrister who was not an employee of Red Bull, and it was not even run in any way through Red Bull Racing. It was Red Bull headquarters. And so to me, I was like, well, if that's the case, I wish Red Bull would put out some more information to like let fans trust that this is actually a false accusation. But since that point, everything has made it looks like there was some sort of cover up of actual bad behavior going on.
Yeah.
And then people trying to take advantage of the situation and take it or be contributing to the cover up. It looks bad from every single angle.
Yeah. So then I feel like the question maybe shouldn't be for us, like what really happened, or I don't know. I feel like the question, I like what you said about making it kind of make you not want to watch the sport.
Yeah.
I wonder, how does it change how we engage with the sport? And
Yeah.
like, how do we respond as fans and like hold the sport accountable to
Right.
being about sporting, racing,
Right.
excellence, and upholding like certain standards
Right.
for, you know, how they treat employees. Again, James, is it Vowles?
Mhm.
He had a really good statement, and it was during the investigation, so it was before anything that has happened in the last week. But he basically was like, you know what? I don't know the details. I don't know what happened. I don't know, like, you know, we don't know what happened, but this is a good reminder of like the high moral standard basically that we need to have as leadership for our employees, for our teams, for our drivers, for everybody, to basically be like beyond reproach.
Yeah.
And make it really about the racing and nothing else.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I don't know. When it comes to just the like initial question of whether or not Christian Horner did what he was accused of doing. If he didn't, I don't think it's fair for somebody to lose their career based off of an accusation that was completely fabricated. But if he did, I want to live in a world where we hold people accountable when they act in a horrible manner towards other people. And I don't think those people should be rewarded for the actions, and I don't think that they should be able to continue with those actions or continue to hold positions of power and respect. And I think James Fells is 100% right when he says that we should hold ourselves, like everybody working in Formula One should hold themselves to a very high standard, because people around the world are watching what they do and how they treat other people.
Yeah.
So.
So maybe when we go to the race in Canada, we can do a demonstration. Some sort of like, just some sort of informed, like, I don't know, social practice, demonstration, something
We should
about women in motorsport.
Yes.
Something about.
And we should make some friendship bracelets with it too.
That's great. Friendship bracelets.
Right?
Okay, yeah, we'll think about that one.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that made me feel particularly icky today is they're kind of changing up the format of press conferences this year, where I think they're only having 6 drivers in the like sit down in the room with all the journalists press conference each week. And today, all of the drivers at the press conference, one of whom was Lewis Hamilton, were asked about this situation.
Mm.
And except for Lewis,
No one said anything.
they all said, it doesn't impact me. It's not my concern. I don't think about it. Which,
Yeah.
for the record, Max and Checo were not there.
Yeah.
Which it would be slightly different with them.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the fact that the 4 other drivers, which, I mean, I don't remember which ones were there, weren't willing to say something to the effect of, just something along the lines of,
You don't even know what you want them to say, though. That's the problem. I
but I
think
don't
they're
want
just
them
like,
saying that it doesn't impact them or it's not their concern. Because we're all citizens of the world. These things impact all of us.
I'm sure that they were primed to say that. I'm sure that that's what their media training was. You know, everyone knew they were going to ask about that today. Of course they were.
And their teams are saying, it's not our team, it's not our
Distance,
concern, I don't think
distance.
about it. Yeah. And then there's Lewis Hamilton.
And that's why Lewis Hamilton is extra special, because they probably said that and he said, no, I'm going to say something.
True goat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
You just can't
man.
not like him for that reason. It's true.
There were several years where I could not stand Lewis. It was like when he was winning so much, he came across as very much just like, it was like he was trying too hard to act humble. It drove me a little crazy. But now that I feel like I've gotten to understand more of his character now that he's not winning.
Yeah.
And I'm continually impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think next year will be a fun experiment for Lewis and Charles.
So fun to see him at Ferrari.
Yeah.
So weird. But
it might be a train wreck. It might.
I have honestly no idea what to expect.
Okay, what else has gone down this week?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think what else has happened in the world of Formula One. Because that has just like dominated the headlines.
Yeah, for sure. That's the big thing.
Oh, fun news. Did you see the renderings of what the new track in Saudi Arabia is going to look like?
I did. Is it real? I feel like we live in a day and age where obviously that image, I'm like, that's a rendering. That's just short of AI. But we live in a world where people are like putting AI as news and being like, this thing happened and it fully didn't happen. So I think I'm just like wary of buying into that reality.
At least 3 drivers have like posted on social media about how excited they are about this track.
The drivers are
pictures,
seeing things on social media and they're going,
no, Sarah,
that looks sick.
They all use the same 3 hashtags. I think they're all being paid by the organizers to post about it.
Okay. What race is that now? Like, what race is that?
That's what we're doing this weekend. Street track.
Okay, so they're trying to build
replacing
it for
the
next
street
year.
Track. They didn't say a year. So
Exactly.
Just at some point in the future.
Here, this is what I'm saying. It's like maybe.
Who knows? But did you see the hill on one side where it's like a roller coaster
The
road,
Mario
literally.
Kart, the
Yes,
Mario
Mario
track.
Kart. That's a better description. And
Yeah.
everybody was like, oh my gosh, the cars are gonna fly up and everybody's gonna die.
Oh
Because
my
there's such a
gosh.
big drop. And it's
I
like
guess that's true. It's like
it's a
you'd
giant
really have
drop.
to reinforce that
It's a I
or have like a
my
double
thought
wall or
initially
something.
was it's a rendering. They're gonna have to build real things that take into consideration safety concerns.
This
And
sounds
people just
crazy.
got a little carried away there.
I wonder if people will be as butthurt about that track as they were about the whole Las Vegas thing, or if we'll reveal that actually people being mad about the Las Vegas race was about it being in America. Like people were so put off by like the whole spectacle, the show, the like
Yeah.
built this racetrack in a year down the strip. And I feel like people were really just like, ugh, who cares? Formula
Yeah.
One used to be serious. I
Yes.
wonder if that crowd is going to feel similarly, or if it was actually more about there being a third race in America.
I don't know. I feel like you could be onto something. But actually,
Grace wants to go. Grace wants to go to this new track. She was trying
in
to
Saudi.
convince me today. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
I know. I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Saudi Arabia on vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. But you said that they're looking into setting up a street race in Chicago, right?
No,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
That I feel like I saw news about that over winter break.
Okay.
Like F1 winter break. And people figured out because they had trademarked something of like that
Oh,
is like the
right.
name of the race.
Yes, I
Yes.
did see that.
I'm just gonna
Yes.
say I would be so excited if there was a race in Chicago. Because
Of
it's one we can
course.
actually get to easily. And Chicago
Yeah,
would be a really cool place.
it would be an interesting place. I don't know if it would, I don't know, it would be an interesting place.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. I feel like it's a little small, but
Yeah.
maybe
I mean,
it's probably similar size to Montreal.
yeah. I feel like it's probably similarly sized to Budapest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe.
fair enough.
I don't know. Montreal is definitely smaller than Chicago.
I don't know.
We don't know, Wheel.
We don't know.
Or geography, apparently.
Maybe so, maybe not. Could be, could not. Um, yeah. What about those Ferrari jumpsuits?
That mom had a real dislike.
No, 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 not the race
Not the
suits.
races.
The jumpsuits that were in that photo shoot that they released this week.
Yeah, do you give us a little fashion review,
Okay,
Sarah?
yeah. Oh, I would love to. Okay, so they, I've been looking for merch a lot for the Canada race that we're going to in June. And so I've been like hunting around. I was talking to my friend Shelly, who's coming with us.
I feel like by the time we leave, you're gonna have your specific outfit plan for each day of going to the track.
That's correct. That's the goal. And
And I'm just gonna be throwing all the merch I have in a bag and figuring it out.
Shelly and I were talking about different options. She really likes a tank top, and I thought of, McLaren did that recent, like really fancy brand collab with like Reese or Rice or whatever, like $300 tank tops. So I sent her one and I was like, you could DIY this. And then I was looking at Ferraris. I guess Ferrari has like a fashion line. I didn't really realize how, like, the quantity of clothing they were producing. But yeah, they've got like tons, and the prices are absolutely insane, like thousands of dollars. And yeah, I guess they had the boys do a little photo shoot for their recent collection, and they're wearing
Love
these
it.
like insane 80s like full body leather jumpsuits. Red, red. And then the photo shoot had like similarly a very 80s lo-fi like office building vibe. I was kind of into it, I'll be honest. I was kind of eating it up. But yeah, it was a little bit silly. So that's fun though.
Isn't all Ferrari PR a little bit silly?
It's all a little bit silly. Yeah. And then Daniel, I'm doing, this is my segment, which is the fashion corner.
F1
Daniel
fashion.
was on the cover of Australia GQ, I believe.
Was it GQ or Esquire?
I don't know. One of those magazines, and looking so handsome. The smile's gone. He's full pouty Daniel, and very good, very exciting. He changed his profile picture to one of these photos, which I realize now makes me sound insane for noticing. But I guess it is what it is.
It is GQ, and he does look so
It's
good.
GQ. Yeah. And Grace sent me a video this week that was somebody talking about all the sneakers that the guys were wearing in the paddock last weekend. And I guess Pierre
Stickers?
Gasly, sneakers.
Sneakers, sorry.
Pierre Gasly was wearing like an $8,000 pair of sneakers, pair of, I think, Nikes. So that's crazy.
He would be the one
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
sneakers that is
So watch
that
out for Pierre.
expensive.
And they didn't even include Lewis. I don't know what the deal is. I need to find a new Lewis style account because my old one shut
Yeah.
down, unfortunately. Maybe I
That's a
should start
bummer.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis
And then you can plug the
Hamilton
pod.
Fashion Week is like the highlight for me always. He has impeccable style.
Always.
Yeah.
I will say Yuki looked on point today.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Yuki has, maybe he got a stylist or something, but suddenly he's looking very good. He's looking super cute and handsome. And yeah, his outfit today was so good. This big oversized like tan button up. Very into it. I also maybe wonder if it's a little bit of Daniel's influence, but I think that Yuki's style has actually maybe surpassed Daniel's in a
Whoa.
crazy way, because Daniel still does a little bit of the like skinny jean long top thing.
Mhm.
And I think Yuki is like totally left turned. Maybe it was Yuki and Zhou Guanyu chillin', because Zhou Guanyu has really good style.
Maybe.
He's a Dior boy.
He definitely has good style, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's all the fashion fun from this week. It was a great week.
I am not a fashion person, so I can't think of anything else.
Oh my gosh.
Grace, we're back with another sister joining us. Welcome, Grace.
Thank goodness, another sister in the building.
I let her out of the box.
I'm out of the box. What does that mean?
I made a joke that I had you stuffed in a box at the beginning of the episode.
Which is
I
why
was
you were
kind of
here.
stuffed in a box. I was stuffed in an airplane.
A box in the sky.
A box in the sky, really. I have heard that you guys didn't talk much about the race, so I wanted to talk about the race.
Yeah.
Little Carlos celebration.
Give us a special report.
Okay. Why is it that I'm never here for the full episode when Carlos is really like put in his game together?
Yeah.
Because I
That's
think same
tough.
thing happened when he won in Singapore. I was like in Hawaii and I was like, I'll drop in for 10 minutes.
Oh.
Maybe that's good luck. Maybe I need to quit the podcast so he can win the world championship.
Maybe you should go on vacation more.
Maybe I
There you
should.
go.
What if I went on vacation a lot more?
What if you just quit your job and just go on vacation?
Maybe that's actually the trick. Yeah, so I mean, how can I not love this race? I'm a Carlos girly, and Carlos was really, I feel like, the dominant winner of the race.
He was third.
Yeah, but we all know that's winning in this context. I mean, he was like 11
Oh my
seconds up the road
gosh.
from Charles, who was in fourth.
Is that true?
Yes. Did you watch the race? Is that why you didn't talk about it very much? You didn't watch it?
I
Sarah and I
watched it.
watched it together for the record with
Yeah, we
Mom.
That's
watched it.
cute. Yeah, no. Charles was like 11 seconds behind Carlos.
Sure. Okay.
And Carlos was really keeping pace with Checo. Like he was
He
3
was.
seconds
That
behind him.
is true. Yes.
Yeah.
Although they were like really waiting for Checo's softs to drop
Yeah.
off at the end, and they never did.
I loved the like,
I
when are the hards gonna kick in? And Ferrari's like, now. And you're like, absolutely not.
No.
No.
If Ferrari had thrown on softs, that might have been the case.
Even James
Yeah.
Hinchcliffe agreed with me in his reporting of like what was the best of the race weekend. I read it, you guys.
He
He
did
said-
put Carlos first.
Carlos, number 1,
Driver of the day.
driver of the day.
Yeah.
A very deserved driver of the day.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loved it. And who are the other well, I think it was like a devastating realization that Red Bull continues to be extremely dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how the Mercedes Ferrari thing will play out over this season because
And McLaren.
yeah,
Mm.
McLaren seemed like they were a little on the back foot, to use a racing term that I do not understand. And
Did we lose her?
I think we've lost our
Oh, no.
correspondent. Oh, are you
No.
just thinking deeply?
yeah, I'm thinking deeply. What's Fernando Alonso's team?
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin. They're really struggling. What happened?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they were still, well, that was the other thing. At the end of the race, it was a really even split from points finishers and non-points finishers. It was like a top 5 teams, right?
Mhm.
Because did Lance get
Yeah,
10?
Lance got in
Lance
the
was
points,
10th.
but that
Yeah.
Lance was totally based on undercutting Zhou. I think Zhou was very close to getting that last point.
Yes,
Yep.
you are right about that
Yep.
for sure. Yeah.
And
So-
well, and within that like
So,
top 5, bottom 5 split, Aston Martin was very clearly in kind of their own world
fifth. They were fifth.
in the bottom of that top 5.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I will say Joe and Kevin Magnussen getting 11th and 12th, it like shouldn't be impressive, but it really was.
Mhm. It really was. And
It
then I guess
really
we didn't
was.
talk about Yuki and
Red Bull.
Daniel's
I was gonna
drama
say-
on
Ooh.
the RBs. We didn't talk about the
forgot
V
about that.
carbs.
The V carb of it all.
Someone had his cheat day. Is that a
What's
good
the-
joke?
Well, I don't get it.
Like carbs.
Carbs.
Oh, hilarious. Cheat day. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, that was a very like I feel
Everything
up
that
to
could be said has already been said about that situation.
that's true.
No,
I just
say what you were gonna say.
well, so I was actually talking to someone who I met through the bracelet exchange about
Yeah.
it, and she was like really upset and was basically like, how can Danny do this? And was really like, he's
Pro
too old.
Yuki.
Go Yuki. And I have to say, like, I see where the team is coming from, where they're just like, we think that Danny has a better chance of passing him. Let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
but it does not garner goodwill for Danny at all. It makes you really feel like he's getting special treatment,
Yeah.
especially when Yuki was really like trying to pass Kevin. It's not like he was like
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
And
Mhm.
Yuki was
was
the
like
one
he
who
was-
actually got closer to passing Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not necessarily that V Carb knows that ahead of time. Like they're like, yeah, Danny seems like he could do it. But it definitely makes you look at the team and be like, it feels like you're favoring Danny, which doesn't feel like
Yeah.
a great look when Yuki has, I mean, there's only this race, but like they've definitely looked comparable so far.
I also think that, like, right now for Red Bull, Checo is doing everything that they want him to. He finished second, he qualified decently. He's not like putting any pressure on Max, but he's backing up Max in
Yeah.
how successful Max is being. And if Danny actually wants to get to Red Bull, he needs to be smashing Yuki every single weekend, because otherwise, what incentive does Red Bull have to make that change?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Like, I think Danny needs to up the game if he wants the Red Bull seat. But I also
Mhm.
think it's very classic Red Bull to just be like, this is who we want, so we're putting everything into this. I don't know. Like Red Bull
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
prefers to like kind of pit their drivers against each other and be like, duke it out. Let's see what happens, bro.
Mhm. I also feel like some of Yuki's frustration, I feel like could have been because of the way that he sees Red Bull favoring Danny and Red Bull wanting to put Danny in Checo's seat. And that's never talked about in Yuki for the same way. And Yuki was the AlphaTauri driver that consistently looked the best over last season and was super impressive. And yet he's never in the conversations about going to Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree too.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to see them promoting Yuki. I think he's just like so
Yeah.
hot-headed.
Mm-hmm.
But
think if
also
they
like
did, he
Max
would
is
be-
too. I don't know.
I think if they did, he would become very beloved. I mean, everybody loves Crazy Yuki.
Only if he really delivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's really hard to tell how much
I don't think
comes down.
anybody should be wishing for that seat. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think Sarah's right.
That's the
yeah.
last seat I would want on the grid. It is next to
Yes.
Max.
Send a
No.
letter to
No,
Carlos.
thank you. I just hope people keep talking about Alex. There's like all these
Alex-
rumors about
I
Alex
think Alex-
Albon.
I think
I
Alex
don't wanna
signed for
see
20.
it.
I think Alex signed for 2025 with Williams.
And
Oh,
Helmut
okay.
Marko has definitely said like Alex is under contract, so he's not coming to Red Bull.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
good.
also, did anyone watch the Alex and Logan like little podcast? I loved it.
Yes.
So cute. So fun.
That's but
I'll watch
also it's not
Alex in
available-
anything.
It's not available on any podcast like places. You have to like go on YouTube.
I don't know if they're gonna put it
Oh.
out on. I
You
hope
know
they
I
start
love
putting it out.
long form YouTube. It's
It's
nothing
not
to
long.
me.
It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah. But
That's long
they have
form.
okay, they have a thing where you can send in your questions to them, and I really want to do that, but I can't think of a good question.
That's a great idea.
We should brainstorm sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have an idea for a question that we can send from We Don't Know Wheel and you want to share it with us instead of submitting it by yourself,
On yourself. Yes, keep going.
then send it in
To We Don't
the
Know
group
Wheel.
chat.
Send
Jamie.
it in. Send it in to we don't know wheel f1@gmail.com.
What do you call your fans? Are they wheelies?
Wheelers. What do you think we should call them?
I like the wheelies.
Woodickawas. Woodickawas?
What?
I think
Woodickawas?
no. I think wheelies is kind of good.
I think wheelies
Wheelie?
is
I think
good.
wheelies. I feel like there's probably some other motorsports podcast that has something about wheel in their name that already calls their fans that.
I've never
They
heard of
probably
them.
call them wheelheads.
It's awful. Really cool people.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
The wheel ones.
Okay, did you guys talk about how the girlies are fighting about Charles and Carlos?
Yeah, we did.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Don't
good.
worry.
I'm
We
glad.
put up a staunch defense of Carlos.
Yeah, we did.
I love that. I love that. Someone has to defend him. He's all alone in this world.
This podcast is really not for Charles fans, unfortunately.
No, it's not.
I know. Sorry, Charles. He
I
has plenty
know.
of fans.
It's
There's
but he has no sponsor, no trainer, no team. He needs us.
yeah, he needs us.
No sponsor.
I love too that Fred was like, I thought he would respond like this. I'm glad to see it. Like he's like, no, this was my plan. I knew Carlos was gonna work really hard if I fired him.
Oh my gosh. Fred. I knew he was
True
going to do this.
mastermind.
He's going to get an even better seat than this one next year.
I mean, I do maybe think that is kind of a smart move on a team to tell your driver at the beginning of the season, like, hey, I'm sorry you're out of contract with us. Because then
Mhm.
you're super motivated to be like, I gotta look incredible this year so I can get a seat for next year on a different team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that does kind of seem to be the case.
So let's go, Carlos. Love to
Let's
see
go.
him. Love to see him passing and not in fifth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Great
Just
race.
saying. Great
I
race.
mean, it was a fine race.
Yeah.
Carlos was great.
I'm very interested to see what happens this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me too.
So
I don't want it to turn into a repeat of last year and Max winning literally everything.
I'm worried for you, Anne.
I fear it's too late.
I know.
Yeah. Well,
Thoughts and prayers.
thoughts and prayers. Live,
Okay.
laugh, love. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Drive to survive.
Where did that come from?
What if you had that as
Survive
like a live, laugh,
to drive.
What if you had that as like a live, laugh, love sign in your garage?
Drive to survive.
Yeah.
It's just the name of a TV show.
Yeah, but it's like it's got the same vibe. Survive
Yeah.
to drive.
Survive to drive.
That's the
Drive
name of
or
Gunther's book,
survive.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's the name of Gunther's book, which I feel like Netflix should be suing him for, but maybe they're the ones
I
that
think
helped him make that happen.
it's too generic of a term. I don't think
Maybe.
you get
Maybe.
maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
Who knows?
wonderful as always.
Okay.
Sarah's initiating the Minnesota goodbye.
Well, I better head out.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll be back with Jetta in just a few days. Maybe,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Yeah. Please
Sounds
leave a
great.
review.
Like, comment,
And-
subscribe, tell your friends and family about us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.